Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Preston M. Smith. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm Preston M. Smith, at PMS Artwork everywhere on internet land and socials. I want to thank you for landing on this podcast. Whether you're a professional artist, just getting started in the art world, a collector of art, or just consider yourself a creative person, this podcast has something for you. I like to think of it as a fun way to rant and talk to other creative people about living the life of an artist, surviving and getting ahead in the art world, and enjoying your life. But most importantly, not waiting until you're dead to make it happen. All right, let's get started. All right, we are officially on the record. We're going to do this TMZ style, Debbie.
Okay.
I'm going to ask all the hard-hitting questions here.
Okay.
No, not at all. So it's been a while. It was good to see you on video a little bit before we started. Have you been seeing people?
Nope, I have not. I have barely left the house. I've occasionally gone to my studio to grab some supplies, but I'm working at home and staying at home.
Can you work at home? Like, can you do what you do at home, or do you have to be in the studio?
I can do some of what I do at home, and that's what I'm doing. I can do patinas and the painting.
Oh, nice.
I've worked on some new materials that I can use at home, but there's a lot that I can't do at home.
Yeah, that's frustrating. And your studio, so you're in Sherman Oaks. Where's your studio located?
Oh, very inconveniently in Hawthorne.
Nice. Well, I'm sure it's a little bit more affordable down there, right? Or maybe, I don't know. Who knows?
Probably comparable to what most studio space is running. You know, it's a nice studio space. It's a decent size for me, and it's clean. It's well lit. All the things that you hope for. So,
that's awesome. Yeah, I'm still. I've always worked from home. Like, I have a studio space, but I've always worked from home. Luckily, I don't need as much space as you, I don't think. But I'm looking forward to having a bigger space as we continue to develop here, my wife and I. But so we've known each other for like 7 years-ish?
Well, I was trying to figure that out, but probably at least 5 or 6. I was trying to. You have a better memory, I'm sure. Did we meet through Amy, or did I meet you?
This was back in my drug days, man. The memory's gone. No. Yeah, we did meet through Amy, I believe. So Debbie and I both were represented by Amy Delaporte and Art Client Services. Big shout out to Amy out there. And yeah, I think I saw your work when I first walked into her gallery. Remember, she had the space on, I think, was it Beverly?
Wilshire, she had a space.
Wilshire, yes. Uh-huh. Yeah, I remember walking in to meet her for the first time in person, and I saw your sculpture, like right there. The woman with the big headdress. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Yeah, and it blew me away. I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I saw your work before I met you, which was awesome. And then I think you came in when I was loading some work in one time. And then we met in person there because we did a show together at that gallery. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yes. So whenever that was, I have no idea which year that was, but I think it was like 2013-ish. Does that sound right?
Oh, I feel like it was probably more like 2014 or 15.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe my memory's not so good. maybe we should trust your memory more.
No, don't trust mine.
Okay, so we'll just say circa 2014-15. So we've known each other for a little bit. We just came out last time I saw you. I think my wife and I went to your solo show. Was that at Shoebox at Christine's place?
Yes.
Yeah, that was awesome. And I just saw a little bit of the video from it. What was it called? Strange Circus?
Yes.
Amazing work. So I just wanted to quickly say, Debbie Corbell is a sculptor and a songwriter, which we'll get to that later. I was also surprised to see you said something in your bio about movie scripts or television scripts.
I did for a minute and a half, write for TV. I've had a few different incarnations,
Mm-hmm. As artists do a lot of times, right?
Yeah, I think we kind of bounce off the walls and, why not?
Yeah, exactly. So is that what well, maybe I was going to do this later, but maybe we should get your origin story in a second. But first of all, I'm just going to describe your work a little bit. Everybody should check out Debbie's work. It's amazing. But I love your sculpture, especially the figures, the human figures. They almost look like they kind of stepped out of a pop surrealist painting, and they're very painterly. They have the texture, the colors. I know you kind of hand paint them afterwards, some of them at least. And I don't know, it's just always struck a chord with me. They're kind of funny. They're some of them are a little grotesque, kind of bizarre and sexual. Does that accurately describe them? Okay. Okay. You're way off. The interview's over. But yeah, so I guess because I'm curious, we haven't known each other too long. So what was I always do the origin story. What got you into the art world? What brought you here? Were you raised here? Did you move here from somewhere?
I'm one of those, I think, kind of a rare bird that was born here. I'm a native
Oh, wow.
Californian. Yeah. I don't know how many you meet, but I'm one of them.
Not many. So California or in LA? In
LA, yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. All right. So I would say you're the one.
Yes, I'm the one. I'm also the one who, probably the only one who doesn't, know any of the right people, so it's like.
Right. I think we all feel that way, Debbie.
One of the few who's like not connected, but so, I mean, I guess I've done, I've always been kind of artsy fartsy. Mm-hmm. So I've always been attracted to things that are, creative and probably hard to earn money by doing it. That's for me. It's like, let me see if it's really hard to break into this. And if it doesn't, if you can have a hard time doing it. So.
Right. I'm the same way.
Yeah. Yes. It's like, that's what, artists are attracted to.
Yeah. It was like my dad, when I talked to my dad early on, it was like, I want to be an actor, a stand-up comedian, a basketball player, an artist, and musician. I tried all these things, and it was like none of them were easy to make money. So I completely understand and keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's the kind of things like. I mean, I was when I was in my 20s, I was interested in becoming an actress. So I thought, and I had fun, trying it, but nothing ever happened with that. And then I've always.
Did you take classes for acting?
I did.
Nice.
Then I started doing some script writing, and I'd always written, short stories and poetry and things like that. So that always was able to, kind of weave in and out of my life depending on what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And so I wrote a bunch of spec scripts and, took some ridiculous meetings and things like that. And nothing really ever happened until finally a family member, married a producer. It's like, thank you. I got my spec script to somebody, who could do something. So I sold.
Well, yeah, just to pause you, that's a lot of people don't really know that, but I came down here to be an actor and a painter too. And I struggled really hard for a while. And, I had all the training and I did okay. I did a couple of things here and there, but people don't really realize just how important it is to know somebody, right?
It's everything.
It's everything. Yeah.
I mean,
especially in the entertainment industry.
Be prepared to perform, to do whatever you're saying you're going to do, but you need that chance,
Yes.
So whether it happens, whether you make your own luck or whether it's a little bit of serendipity, how it happens, but,
yeah.
You just kind of have to jump on it when it does. And then in the meantime, you just keep working, right? You just keep trying to get better at whatever it is you're trying to succeed at.
Yeah. Keep your head above water enough to keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. So I was able to sell a couple scripts to the Tracy Ullman show.
Oh, nice.
So that was really fun. And it was fun to go to the tapings and see, what I had worked on brought to life. And she's, fantastically talented. So.
Oh yeah. That was a great show.
It was a great show. And then, I didn't get hired on to be like one of the staff writers. It was just, a couple spec scripts.
Yeah.
Got sold. And then, I don't know, I think I got distracted. I don't know what happened to me after that exactly. And I ended up, at some point, I guess, my ovaries started singing and I had kids.
Yeah, I hear that happens.
Yeah, that happens. And, it's really fun, but it's really, takes your time and energy, and that pretty much was my focus for a number of years. And then as they
Oh, yeah.
got older, and I had more time to myself, I started, pursuing more artistic things again. I mean, I was always still like writing and maybe doing a little painting or something, but not, didn't have much time. It takes a lot of time to do artistic things, right?
Oh,
You
yeah.
have to have undisturbed time.
Well, that's why I've been so worried and so hesitant to have kids, up until this point. Like, I think my wife and I are finally getting really close, but it took me a long time to get to a point where I felt comfortable, like I'd established myself enough, or a nice enough body of work to go, okay, I can start, putting some focus over here. But it takes, you're basically talking about my fears.
Well, the fears are real, but the thing that you don't, you can't really see from your side of it is that it's worth it.
Yes.
So it's hard to know, like, am I really going to like them that much?
Right. Are they going to like me that much?
Yeah. But you do, and it's worth it. And you know what? It's just kind of a temporary segment in a way of your life where they demand, intense attention, and then
yes,
kind of grow up, and you kind of get them launched to some degree, and you get your life back. So
yeah. Well, it's funny too. I've always, like, I try to put myself in that place too, and I know that I actually have just been thinking about it. Maybe it's going to open up a side of myself that I didn't know was there, even a creative side that I wasn't even aware of. And so I'm kind of like viewing it from a different perspective now, not a perspective of lack, but of something that's going to add something to my life. And I know my wife's already there. She's like, wants it. So, I think it'll be fun. But it's nice to talk to people like you who have the experience and can kind of reinforce that.
I think you're going to be great parents. You're going to enjoy it. So,
awesome.
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. And we won't get too much into your family, but you have how many kids?
Two.
Okay.
And I think a lot more sometimes.
I'm sure. I think when we were talking once, because you used to come remember the restaurant that I used to wait tables at?
What was it called?
Well, it had a couple different incarnations, but it was first Picnic, and then it became Gulp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, or as we used to call it. So it became a kind of like gastropub. But I think you came in during the Picnic days, if I'm not mistaken.
I did.
Yeah, and I think we were talking about your one of your kids, and I think they were just going to college or something. It was something about university. I can't remember.
Well, that might have been. They both made it through. So that
good. Okay, good.
That's good.
The memory's still there. See.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you had your kids.
I had my kids, and then was kind of limited on what time I could spend. When I wasn't busy doing homework and trifold posters, I was going to have some time to, do my own stuff. And then I did some Chinese brush painting. I was taking some classes doing that, and I was
cool.
I had I sold a number of paintings doing that. And the teacher that I had was Nan Ray. She's quite well known in that field. She's really a fantastic person and a fantastic teacher.
Nice.
And then I ended up taking some sculpting classes, and I had some wonderful teachers for that as well.
So you were a painter first.
I was a painter first, and but I wouldn't. Chinese brush painting is kind of different than it's done with watercolor, and it's not really figurative, and it's kind of impulsive, like I am. It's you can't change or really correct anything. It's you just kind of run with it with the energy you have at that moment, and then the painting is done.
And then you have to learn to live with it.
Yeah, and let's see. And then I was always, again, writing. I was writing. I did a lot of children's stories. I have a big stack of rejection slips on those, which I think I'm going to incorporate into one of my sculptures. I think
you have to. Debbie, I'm sorry, but like you and I have so many overlapping things.
Really?
Like music and acting and writing. Like I wrote poetry. I self-published a couple books. I've got rejection letters saved away too. This is very interesting to me. But you have to turn that into a sculpture.
I know, it would be fun to use, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I probably will. And then I started just with the sculpting and clay, and then kind of a pivotal moment for me was when I went to go see an exhibit. There's a gallery, Louvre Gallery. Are you familiar with it?
Yes.
So they actually have some really good shows there. I really like that gallery. And I went to go see, and they had a Deborah Butterfield opening there, and I went. And if you're not familiar with her work, she does a lot of assemblage work. I think only horses. I don't really know if she does anything else. Mostly she uses wood, and then she casts it in bronze. And you have to take it all apart and cast each piece and then have it reassembled.
Oh, wow.
She's got a big team of guys that, she can boss around.
Right. She's got a factory.
Yeah, which is nice. But I was able to speak to her for a minute. Anyway, she was very nice, and I learned a little bit about how she does things. So that kind of like set off a light bulb in my head about using mixed media. And so I immediately went out and got a bunch of wood and started making stuff,
That's awesome. No, that's one thing that I've always been finding and scrounging for materials too. I used to go drive the streets of LA and just find stuff in the alleyways and come home, clean it up and turn it into paintings or, assemblage pieces. But your work takes that to another level. I love, especially your horses. I just love, it's so intricate. I mean, the whole package is there when you step back, but when you get close, you could spend hours just looking at all the details of what you put together. So that's very unique. And you said that idea sparked from her?
Yeah, I did. Her work is, I would say, more spare than the type of thing that comes out of me. And she seems to be more have uniform in her use of materials. As far as if it's wood, it's wood. I don't see a lot of mixture in the things that she does. I don't know if I haven't seen what she's doing lately, so I don't really know. But
right.
The stuff that was at that exhibit. But nothing is safe around me. So
Well, yeah, nothing's safe around any artist. Especially if you're easily inspired, right? You just kind of absorb it like a sponge. But at the same time, you take it and you make it your own. It's not like you're completely copying somebody else's style. You've taken it and you've made it into Debbie Corbell style.
Well, I think so. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. You can recognize any mark of a good artist is if you can recognize somebody's work. The moment you see a little snap of it on Instagram, I always know it's your work. And that's one of the highest compliments you can pay an artist.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it. And then, so I was watching one of your interviews in preparation for this, and you were showing the clowns, the kissing clowns, which I love, one of my favorite pieces of yours. And so those are, I noticed the one that you had in there, it was kind of intricate. It was almost like one of them was mounted on like a fan and you had a bunch of metal and steel and stuff like that around there. But I've also noticed there are other iterations of this too. So did you kind of make a cast of just the heads and then you play with that after that, or how does your process work?
That's right. So it's sculpted in clay, and then a mold is made, and then they're cast in your material of choice. So I do a lot of bronze, and then they're welded to the bases, and then all of the mixed media stuff is welded on, and then everything's painted. So
just say like on average, a piece like that, how long does it take you?
Oh, that one probably takes 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
Because I'm not doing every single thing myself. So the welding, I have a welder that I work with, and I tell him where I want it welded and stand there, and he does that piece, and then I hold it or cut it or whatever and tell him I weld that right there. And so,
but that's still an intense process. A lot of different stages.
It is. There's a lot of stages. It's slow. It's not as satisfying as painting in a way, because you do it all yourself and you can get it done pretty quickly. Even if you're doing something kind of complex, maybe a week or two. If you really put your shoulder to the grindstone. So,
sure. And the only thing that sometimes sucks is the drying period, depending on how textured it is. But yeah, as far as the creation of it, you could knock something like a huge piece out in an afternoon if you want.
Right.
Yeah. But I also like that you, after they're cast, you hand paint them, right? Do you use oil and acrylic?
So I use oil on the bronze pieces because the acrylic won't stay on there.
Oh, interesting.
But so you have to use oil. So then you have to wait, like 3 days between each layer. So that also adds to the time frame of when you're making something, because the stuff has a lot of layers on it.
Yeah.
And if I cast it in this other material, resin, then I can paint it with acrylic, and then I could just use a hairdryer and dry the layers in between.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Yeah, acrylic's so much faster. I've been dabbling with acrylic now too. I used to be, I'm an oil painter, but now I've been kind of falling in love with acrylic. It's just so much easier and faster to work with. I mean, I love aspects of each, but I just wish I could take the drying time and apply that to oils.
Interestingly, acrylic seems to stain your clothes just as badly. I have a full wardrobe, a full paint wardrobe.
Right. If you don't catch it fast enough, like if you catch it right away and you get it off there, it's fine. But if you let it dry, nope, you're done.
I always think, I'm not going to be that messy. I can do this.
That's one thing that for me, my wife she likes that, I guess, because I work from home. I've always had like my studio in our place, and I'm just very meticulous about being clean, because when I started out, sometimes I would have to paint my kitchen. Like I'd have to build up my studio each time I painted, but it was also functioning as my kitchen. So I was like, I have to keep this clean. And that just kind of carried over. But I'm looking forward to a time where I can just be completely dirty and not worry about it. So did you always have like a separate studio? Was that something you kind of progressed to?
I progressed to that. It was kind of interesting when you finally give yourself permission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think I'm worthy to have this.
Sure.
So that was a big step and a great step.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's also it depends too on the monetary situation, and like I know certain people who have like I know this painter Harry Moody. You probably are familiar with him. He's got this huge studio, and he got a really great deal on it. But any studio space like that, it's almost like an airplane hangar. It's so big.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. And but if you were to get a place like that now, depending on the location, I mean that could be like $15,000 a month. Where was your first studio that you rented?
It housed inside of a sculpture studio that taught classes, and I rented a little space in there.
Oh, perfect.
And then now I'm in a place called Hawthorne Arts Complex, actually. Mm-hmm. And so it's a complex. There's 100 artists, and there's just like little dividing walls. They're not studios with ceilings, so it's you can get different sized rooms there, but it's clean. There's parking. It's well lit. It's nice to be with other people. However, now, of course, I'm not able to utilize that. I may go in there and work a little bit at night, like when nobody's there.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to be around people right now. Can't.
I know. It's changing everything. But then it's frustrating, too, because you see other people who are just like, what? Well, whatever. I don't give a shit. I'm just going to live my life the way I've been living it. Sometimes it makes me feel like, you're familiar with the term FOMO?
Yeah.
It's like a different iteration of FOMO. I feel like I'm missing out on all these things that other artists are doing, or they're going out, they're going to shows or whatnot. But really, I think it's just in your brain. There's not many people that are doing it.
You cut out there for a moment. Okay, I hear you now.
Oh, did I? Oh, sorry. No, I was just saying that it's like FOMO from an artist perspective. It's like you see people going to shows or working in studios, but your brain kind of convinces you that everybody else is out there living their lives and doing all this stuff. But really, they're not.
No, I think most people are being pretty cautious. So
I think so too. But so with your studio, you like the energy of working around other people. Does it give you ideas, or do you just like the kind of just being around people?
Not for ideas, really. There aren't that many sculptors there. More for the social aspect.
Yeah.
It's not, being an artist is pretty solitary in general.
Oh yeah.
And also I've met people there who I can buy things from. I have there's someone there who makes wood bases for me. There's things like that. You meet people.
Oh, that's nice.
In that regard, it's nice. It's nice just to come out of your hole once in a while and see a human being. So
what are you talking about, Debbie? I like my hole.
I know. It's like you're in there like for many hours at a time.
Oh my God.
So it's nice to go get a beer or something,
Yeah. No, it is. And also just to be able to talk to other artists and to bounce ideas off of them. I don't know if you use it. Like I know certain people who work in a kind of studio situation like you have, they do almost like critiques, like little studio visits where people will come in and critique. Do you do that, or is it more just kind of friendly?
It's more just kind of friendly, although I'm sure I have seen that kind of thing go on. Mm-hmm. There's enough people there, you could set up whatever you were interested in doing. I tend to just work. I'm like intense, I like get in there and work,
Right. Put your head down and work.
Yeah. Yeah.
But do you let people come in? I was talking to Scott Meskel, and he says people just kind of show up at his studio. Do you let people come in, or do you kind of just lock your door and
I
focus?
usually have the door open, and I'm, happy to see somebody come in and, break and they'll look at what I'm doing. And I have to walk down a hall to the restroom so I can see in other people's studios. So I might poke my head in and say hi or see what they're doing, So it's.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're missing that right now.
I am. It's like kind of like being on an island right now, right?
It is. Well, have you
for social media?
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Have you kind of tried to replace that with online stuff like social media? Have you spent more time on Instagram, for example? Are you doing more virtual openings, things like that?
I am. I'm doing. I am applying to more online shows, and I have done them. I'm not as adept as you, but I'm, doing more posting on Instagram, trying to improve those skills.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Have you? I'm trying.
You got Instagram game, Debbie.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit of an Instagram game. I always feel like a little self-conscious, like, we really need to hear from her again.
Oh, yeah. No, I think this is important. I feel the same way. And when I first started, I actually hate social media. It's something that I've forced myself to do because I just saw the benefit of it. I saw that it had all this potential, and I was seeing other people kind of killing it and making sales off Instagram. And I was like, all right, I guess I just have to play the game a little bit. I went through a very long 10, 12-year period where I just didn't do any of that stuff. Like I know back in the day we didn't have Instagram, but I was just not very social. I just put my head down, worked, and I would get in some shows here and there. And then that was it. But once I started kind of focusing on like the business aspect of art, I was like, okay, I just got to up my game if I want to make online art sales. And so far it's been working. But the more you do, you kind of have to keep up at that level. So it kind of becomes pretty intense.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see your stuff. If for nothing else, I like to see more of your work, which is great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So are you doing, staying on that topic a little bit, are you doing more online sales? Are you trying to stick with kind of galleries and like studio stuff?
I'm happy to sell however it works out. If people want to visit the studio or online, it's or through galleries.
But do you take part in any different kind of art marketplaces online, or do you pretty much focus on like the galleries that represent you?
I've been primarily doing it through the galleries. I am on Saatchi, but I'm not good about it. So that's one area that I probably need to see. One thing about Saatchi, for painters, I think it's very good because they'll provide prints and all that for you, right? So it makes it easy.
Although I've only sold one print, if that
really?
helps. Yeah. I sold a lot more originals than prints.
Really? Well,
yeah.
That's interesting to know. Okay.
I actually think if you're going to do one, Saatchi, it's hard because Saatchi, you can do a lot of work on Saatchi and then feel like nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden something will happen, But I actually think it's a pretty good resource for sculptors, actually. Okay. There's a lot of really good sculptors on there. So maybe give it a shot. I mean, I think you're doing fine without it, but if you wanted to, I think that's a good resource.
Well, maybe I should pay a little more attention to it. I've been trying to, obviously watch more YouTube videos on how to improve, Instagram posting and all that kind of stuff. So.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's what I've been talking about a lot because I actually started this podcast right before the pandemic hit. And it was just interesting to see how kind of some of the people that were already really doing well online, it was like there wasn't much of a change. But then there was a lot of the brick and mortar galleries, a lot of the people who didn't have much of an online game. It was like a rush to kind of catch up. And now everybody's doing online, everybody's doing virtual openings. Like Shockbox, we're doing a bunch of virtual openings, and they've actually been very successful. So it's a cool avenue for us to pursue, I think, as artists. And I'm not sure when all this is over, if it's going to go back to how it was before, if it's going to be some kind of hybrid.
I think it'll be a hybrid because why would people undo what they've created? So they'll use every avenue that works. I think it'll keep going.
And don't you think maybe the collectors' expectations have changed a bit too?
You cut out. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's weird. Sorry. No, I think the collectors' expectations have changed a bit too. Like, I think they'll become a little more comfortable with doing stuff online. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to all be online, but there's definitely going to be a focus on that moving forward.
Yeah, I think it'll remain a part of it. I mean, obviously, nothing replaces, the social atmosphere and the fun of going to openings and
Yes.
seeing something in person and, looking at the texture up close and all that.
Yeah, you can't replace that. And it's nice to be able to get, in person and talk to the artists. I mean, I think Shockbox is doing a cool thing with the virtual openings where they're highlighting the group shows, the pieces, and then letting the artist speak. So everybody who's there in the virtual opening is getting a chance to actually listen to the artist speak, which, sometimes you go to a show and you're cornered by a couple people for an hour, you know what I mean? So it's giving more people a chance to listen, but it has its pros and cons. But I was looking over your website and I've seen it before, but I love your website. It's very playful and well done. You've got great sections here. I was looking at your awards. So you've won quite a bit of awards. Crocker Kingsley Annual Exhibition, Light Space Time Exhibition, both second place. Tag Gallery, second place. Bowerstock Gallery, first place. Creative Quarterly Magazine, first place. Runner-up, a couple of those. That's awesome. Those are just kind of like a feather in your cap, right?
Thank you. Yes. It's always nice to get a little, affirmation. So.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, from all the rejections with writing, it's kind of nice to see the other side of that sometimes. I wanted to get to the Steven Tyler story because I thought that was very exciting when I saw it. And I was wondering if you could tell us the story.
Well, I wish there was more of a story to tell, but I didn't get to meet him or anything.
You can just make it up,
Okay, I'll make something. He was fabulous. We got
Steven and I are like this. We're having lunch tomorrow.
Well, actually, my work is represented in a place called Church Boutique, which is a fantastic venue. It's a store, but it's also a gallery, and they cater to a very high-end clientele. And
Is that the one near Palm Springs, or is it in LA?
No, that's out here.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's one of their customers and came in and liked the piece and bought it. It ended up being featured on a TV show where he was interviewed.
Yes.
By Harvey Levin. But they couldn't show the front of the piece. It's a little too
graphic
for TV. But so it was great.
Yeah, I don't want to show anything sexual, but if you can blow somebody's head off on television, that's no problem.
That's right.
No, I've watched the interview a couple times. It's awesome. I mean, yeah, they don't show the whole piece, but you get enough of an idea. Like, I knew it was yours right when I saw it. And if anybody wants to check that out, you can see it on Debbie Corbell's website. It's just www.debbiecorbell.com.
Yeah, I will tell you, there's one funny aspect to that story. I didn't know it was, he was going to be featured on TV. I was eating dinner with my husband and I nearly choked. We're watching the news and there's something that came on and go, oh my God, that's my piece on TV. Look at that. That part was funny.
So they didn't tell you that was going to air?
No.
Oh my God.
No, I didn't
that's serendipitous that you were actually watching that channel at the time.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's just weird. We just turned it on and there was.
That's so cool. That's like the artist's dream. You want to be just sitting there and all of a sudden this piece comes on about you. I'm wondering if you've seen the benefits of a story like that being on TV, a high profile collector. Has that added to your sales at all or
I wish I could say yes. I think it probably made like a little blip, but I think it takes a number of, celebrity purchases and again, some serendipitous happenings, some luck, some other people to see it, so you just kind of, again, take that as another feather in your cap, right? And keep working.
Oh yeah. No, it's funny. Because I don't know how much you know about me, but back when I was doing pop surrealism, I got this Obama gig and I got to do like 12 paintings of the president. And I went and they were distributed to like high-end celebrities like Ed Harris and Ashley Judd and all these people who attended. And I got to meet a bunch of them. And I remember at the time going like, I've made it, Debbie. I'm like, this is over, like all my paintings are going to be sold when I get back. Oprah was supposed to do a piece on it. I was like, this is it. And so I went to the thing. I had a great time. I met all these people, got some pictures, and then I came back home and I just went back to my shit job, waiting tables, and literally nothing happened. I had like an interview. I just didn't know what to do with it. I didn't have like a publicist, or I didn't know how to write a press release. I didn't know any of that stuff. So it just was like, okay, now I'm just back to being the person I was before.
Yeah, it takes, I think, a few of those to kind of parlay it into something.
Yes.
And you just have to keep working. That's all. It's just.
Well, that's the greatest lesson, I think, is I think people, they watch that on the movies or on TV, and they expect kind of like one thing to hit, and then, oh, it's the fast track to success. But for me, I'm happy it happened the way it did, because I just kept working. I had a couple of those, and none of them turned out to really anything. And other than the experience, which was great. But then you just learn to, okay, well, just put back on the working cap and keep working.
Yeah, it is more of a fairy tale. I guess it does happen that way for some people. Maybe they have one stroke of luck and get one, celebrity to buy something, and it, opens up a whole new audience. But
yeah. And I think that's probably what it is. We see those stories as artists because those are the ones that they highlight. So you just go, oh, that's what needs to happen, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. Okay, so I want to get to your songwriting, but we have a little cutoff here.
Okay.
They cut you off on Zoom after 40 minutes. So I'm going to just make sure we got this audio. Give me 1 second here. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's also creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And we're back with Debbie Corbell. So what if I just do the rest of it as another person? Do you think anybody will listen?
Okay.
You're like, no. If that's any indication, Debbie, no. So we wanted to talk. You reminded me, I was going to ask you earlier, the last podcast episode was about haters and naysayers. And you told me that you have a funny story about some recent haters, right?
Well, yeah, I have not had any experience really with people hating my artwork, and letting me know about it so directly,
right?
As I did recently, about, I don't know, a week or so ago. I posted some things on an Instagram curatorial feed,
mm-hmm.
and at first I was pretty shocked.
Wait, this was on Instagram?
Yeah.
Wow, that's normally like the most polite social media resource. Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
So, I got a lot of, nice comments too, but I didn't even know that all this vitriolic stuff was coming in. My son sent me something and he goes, "You better look at this."
Oh my God.
I went, "What?" So I'll just read you.
This is great. Okay.
Read you some of the things that were said. This is disgusting work, and posting work like this is exactly part of the problem.
Uh-huh.
The work is ugly. Art is for inspiration, not to vomit one's mental illness on the public.
Whoa.
Oh my God, Debbie, get a life. And by life, I mean get a sex life.
Hello.
Someone put icons of people throwing up.
Really?
Yeah, thumbs down. It hurts to look at. No aesthetic or commentary value. It burns my eyes.
Wait, these are all separate people?
No, well, there's a couple that kind of came after me.
Yeah. That's what typically happens. Okay.
Low class. This is not art. And then my favorite one, I think, is Ms. Corbell. I feel like I just got called into the principal's office.
Right.
Clearly has no understanding of the male genitalia and is clearly misrepresenting it, depicting it in quotes. Has to be done by someone with more experience and knowledge. So.
Wow.
Even putting some of these on my website because it's
you got to do it. Oh my God, that's horrible. I mean, it's funny because obviously these people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I think the person who was saying about the genitalia, I think we know what happened there. You hit a little too close to home.
Well,
You know what I mean?
that was a funny thing. It's like, well, I've had 2 kids. I must have seen something. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly. He's like, wait a minute, I recognize this. I'm gonna, I'm
so
gonna, yeah,
it's an interesting experience, and I was surprised. Usually, you think you just scroll past something if you're not interested or whatever, but no, this was, definitely ruffled some feathers.
yeah. Well, that's what you'd think, right? I was sharing some stories about some people whose work is obviously amazing, and I consider your work amazing too. Obviously, these were some of the ones that were a little more sexual, right? I'm assuming.
Provocative, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
provocative. Yeah, that's what it is. It's just people aren't comfortable. They don't realize that's what art is supposed to be. But yeah, I mean, some of these people who were that are not, they're more objectively kind of easily accessible to like a wide audience, right? And it was the same thing. People just going after him, like they just had to let it be known that they just hated everything. I hate the world. I hate you. I had a person tell me that stuff and just hound me for weeks on eBay, and
Horrible.
yeah, and they were basically telling me like I should die. I'm like, wow, this is not a this is crossed over into something pretty intense. But
Yeah.
wow, well, I'm sorry that happened, but thank you for sharing it because
Anyway, I just try to make light of it, and it did strike me funny after I recovered from the initial shock.
yeah. Well, but I mean, you've had enough acclaim at this point. That's the thing too, is these people just don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I mean, who knows what is kind of fueling this behavior with them? I mean, obviously the person who said your own mental, whatever they said, your own mental disorder, that's a little bit of a projection probably. But yeah, it never ceases to amaze me. If you don't like something, just move on. You don't need to let it be. This is not a Yelp review of a restaurant that you didn't like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't stand it. But anyway, thank you for sharing that.
I'm sure, the other artists out there listening have probably had stuff happen too. So you're not alone.
Yeah, no, it's cathartic for everybody because you've done a lot with your work, and you have, quite a bit of notoriety, and people are even coming after you. So it happens to everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. So thanks for sharing that. But let's get into something more fun, which
Okay.
is something I didn't know about you. Although I did start seeing things being posted on Instagram. What's the deal with the songwriting?
So I've always written poetry also, like you. So, and I thought it would be, an interesting thing to do, and possibly a way to monetize it will be to, do song lyrics. So I ended up taking a couple classes at UCLA Extension on songwriting and production and all that stuff. And I ended up meeting my partner there. When I first met him, I was in the class, and I was partnered up with him. He's Brazilian. His name is Paulo Sabrihi.
Mm-hmm.
And I was partnered up with another Brazilian guy as well. And I came home and I told my husband, I said, I don't know how this is going to work. We don't understand each other. I don't know how this is going to work out. But I guess, things, can surprise you, because now, we're very compatible, and we've written a number of songs together. We're hoping, what we do is we write songs and fully produce demos with the hopes that they'll be picked up and recorded by, other artists.
Yeah. So now is it Paulo who's singing these two?
Yes.
Oh,
He's
cool.
a very talented musician, and we have a lot of fun doing it. And we have a lot of songs in various genres, everything from country, pop, trap, everything. So, and we have a bunch of stuff posted on SoundCloud. And this week I've been working on creating a YouTube channel. So I've been busy with that. I've got
You and me both.
2 songs on there so far, because it's complicated with the formatting. I'm using another app to format the videos. What are you doing on YouTube?
Well, first of all, I have the podcast on there, but I've just been doing some kind of, I was going to say earlier, like a lot of the stuff, you're acting, you're writing, all this stuff, it kind of comes full circle if you're in the art business long enough. And that's how I feel with my acting. It's kind of become, I've been making these kind of creative videos that they are artistic. Like some of them are me in the studio, like tutorials and stuff, but then others are almost like just artistic, kind of short, either funny, like humorous videos, or just very bizarre kind of pop surrealist type videos of me in the studio or me with my alter ego. And yeah, it's fun. I've been getting a pretty good response so far.
Cool.
But when you put yours up, let me know. I'll come over and subscribe to you.
Okay, thank you. I will. I'll post it on in my social media when I get it finish being organized. I have to do everything like 3 times because I do everything wrong.
I know the feeling.
Then I have to delete it and start all over again because I see, oh, that's all wrong, you know.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, because you can't like go back in once you published it. You have to like actually take it down and redo it.
Yep.
I have a couple of mistakes on mine, and honestly, I was just like, "Fuck it, it is the way it is." But that's different with music. So you can also see until the YouTube is up, you can see some of them on your video and on your Instagram, right?
Yes, and on SoundCloud. So it would be under PD Songwriting on SoundCloud. And I've actually, so the YouTube channel is up. I've only got 2 songs on there so far, but that's also under PD Songwriting.
PD Songwriting, okay.
And they can check it out also on my Instagram. I've got some of the songs up on there.
Is it all together PD Songwriting, or is there any hyphens or anything?
PD is together, and then there's a space Songwriting.
Okay. Great. Yeah, just a little side note. You told me that the other day, PD Songwriting, and I was like, what does that mean? I was like, is that like pandemic songwriting? So have you been doing this kind of virtually, like from your separate studios during the pandemic?
Well, now, unfortunately, we are. So we're working over FaceTime, which is not the best audio way to work. But it's okay. We're managing. We're experienced enough working together that it's been okay.
Nice.
So, and I love creating it. It's a blast.
That's so awesome. Well, and it's cool because it gives you another avenue right now to focus on.
Yes, and it's something I can do, without materials, with just my head. And he's got a studio at home, so he can mix everything. And we used to just work at his house, but now it's on FaceTime. But it's okay.
That's awesome. Well, I think I've watched and listened to about 4 or 5 of them, and I really like them. What was the one? Kidnapped? Is that one of your most recent?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really like that piece. Is it something where you could actually monetize it now in the form it's in, or you're actually just kind of trying to get it picked up by somebody? We're
trying to get it picked up. Some of the songs are produced in a way that they're very polished, and some of them are just produced more in a demo stage where they wouldn't really be suitable to put on a platform that sells. So we're kind of sticking on the focus of producing them, to a degree that they'd be appropriate for demos. We have someone who's interested in putting them into a music library where they use, for TV shows and stuff. Yeah. So we'll see. And actually, I'm going to get my first independent film credit with the music that's coming up soon.
Oh, really?
A couple of them on there. So yeah.
Wait. What's this all about? You gotta tell us.
So Paulo does a lot of sound editing and stuff. That's his day job. And he's working with this Brazilian producer. He's actually a comedian in Brazil. He's well known there. And he's making a little independent film, and he's going to use a couple of our songs. So
that's so cool.
Really cool. Yeah.
There you go. See, another roundabout thing.
So we'll see. We just keep just keep throwing it on the wall and you see what sticks, right? So
that's so true. It's so true. And I was talking to Mike about this the other day, Mike Collins, and he was saying, well, throw it on the wall and see what sticks. And I was like, well, yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe a bunch of it'll stick, but also I think you enjoy doing it too, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So that's
a lot of pleasure. Just the same kind of pleasure you get from making a good painting or a sculpture or, feeling satisfied with a poem or anything else. I mean, there's certainly, that brings me to thinking about, people often ask me, like, do you hate to sell your work? And no, because you know what, after I make it, I'm kind of done.
Yeah. You spent your time with it.
Yeah.
Well, and also, don't you think, I've talked to somebody else about this too. I used to, like, when I had 10 or 20 pieces and it was kind of like my identity, it was hard. It was almost like they were my kids, but you start to get so much work too after a while. It's like, it becomes practical almost to start selling.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not just that you've had your time with it, but yeah, I mean, that's what we're doing. We're hopefully we're trying to influence and inspire other people. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I'm really excited about the songwriting. That's fun. So have you always had this in you, or was this just kind of recent? I know the poetry you've had.
The poetry I've had, I've been writing poetry since I was a teenager. So that was a natural transition, and I don't know why it took me so long to figure out what to do with it, but it did.
Well, poetry is kind of a hard medium too, right? It's not something that is easy for people to access typically, and also to monetize. I mean, if there's only a few poets, like I love Bukowski. He's one of the few poets that actually did well, but it took him 40 years before he gained any recognition for his work. So putting it into a song format, it just kind of makes sense.
It does. I mean, it's not exactly poetry, but it certainly, lends itself to that. And I do use poetry in some of my sculpture. I incorporate the poetry in, so I have been able to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, like the backdrop you had when we started was the three-legged dog, and you had a little bit of, you incorporated some words into that too.
Yeah.
I love that. I love seeing your stuff in person, because you can spend so much time with a piece and just discover different things as you walk around it. So anyway, I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan. So we already talked about your origin story. I have this. Did we leave anything out? Did we not connect any dots with the origin story?
Oh, I think we're pretty connected.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Well, just shout out at me and interrupt me if you think of something. But one of the things that I ask, like, origin story, because I'm not sure if you've listened to many of these interviews, but I always kind of think of artists a little bit like superheroes, because you're doing something against all odds that a lot of people can't do. So going along with that, what is like a superpower or kind of a secret weapon that you have for creativity? And by that I mean, if you're in one of those periods where you're just blocked, or maybe you're not blocked, but you're having a hard time coming up with ideas or whatever, is there something that you do to kind of get yourself into that mindset to create?
Well, I would say the biggest thing that I have to avoid if I want to create something is anxiety, because for me, anxiety is like a creativity killer.
It's an everything killer.
Yeah, it's just, so if I'm feeling, really uptight, I'm certainly not going to be creative that day.
Yeah.
I'm just, getting through the day. But other than that, if I feel calm, if my life is calm, I find inspiration, and maybe even just something funny somebody said, or something clicks in my brain, or I see, an odd fragment of something, and it reminds me of a figure of some sort, or, the inspiration comes. I think, just trying to be calm. That's the superpower, just to try to stay, unfrazzled. If you let yourself get too wound up, you're not going to hear or see it.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I also have anxiety, and I think fear and anxiety are pretty much the biggest killers to everything, creativity, just forward momentum. So I've just learned to kind of push through that. But so is there anything you do, for example, like, do you meditate? Do you take, what's it called?
Drugs.
Yeah, drugs. No, why am I blanking on this? It's it's like the hit thing right now. It's not THC, but they put it in everything.
Whatever it is, I don't do it. So.
Okay. It's completely legal, Debbie. It's not, you don't buy it on the street corner.
That wouldn't stop me.
Okay. Well, but do you, like, for me, I know I do meditation and deep breathing. Do you do anything like that, or take a walk, or, exercise?
Well, I try to exercise regularly, and I guess I always look for a laugh. If you talk to your friends, or, find something to laugh about, that really diffuses that kind of energy, right?
Yeah, it gets you out of your own head too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing that the other day. I was having a real strong bout of anxiety, and I was so busy because I've taken on way too many projects, and then Mike called me out of the blue, and I was like, I don't have time to talk. And then I answered, and we ended up talking for 40 minutes, and all of a sudden I was fine. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay, I just needed to talk to somebody and get out of my own head.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Do you have any advice to young Debbie, if you were looking back at yourself, as you're getting about ready to get started doing whatever you are creativity wise, like acting, whatever it was you were getting into at the time? Do you have any advice looking back after all these years of learning how to be an artist?
I think what I would tell myself is, stop looking outward, for people to tell you that you're good enough to do something, or that it's the right thing to do. You have to block that noise out, and it's hard to do when you're young, because you're keep looking for role models,
Yeah.
how you should succeed. So I guess I would tell myself to try to block out more the external noise, of other people telling you you should do this and you should do that.
I like it. That's so good. And I think even more important nowadays with social media, right? There's so much noise. I can't even imagine being a kid right now. Can you?
Yeah, it would be hard because, it looks like everybody's having these perfect lives, right, on
Yeah,
social media, and we know that's not the case.
it's definitely not the case. And I mean, I see this
You cut out
new.
there for a sec.
Oh, I could. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I've recognized this phenomenon recently that's happened a lot, where you'll see a kid, in the mall or wherever, by a pool, by the ocean, and they just look super depressed, and then they take their phone out and they like point it at themselves and take a selfie, and all of a sudden they come alive, like, oh my God, I'm having the best time ever, and then they take the picture and then they go right back down.
Wow.
That's kind of scary.
That's very scary.
Yeah, I know. It makes me feel really bad because as a kid, you're already dealing with so many insecurities, and then, as an artist, also even more pile on the insecurities. So I think what you said about kind of filtering out the noise is really poignant.
Yeah. So that's even now, we have to do that too, right? And people.
Yeah. You cut out now. Now it's your turn to cut out, Debbie.
That's okay. I was just saying that even now, it's something that you always have to be mindful of, right? Is to not. I kind of came across that, when I was trying to write scripts.
Mm-hmm.
I have people tell me, what to do and what kind of ending and the characters and this and that and should go this way, and you kind of realize that everybody's full of shit, right? And you should just do what you want to do.
Yeah. But that's sometimes hard. It's hard to get to that point. It's like, I feel like once you get to that point, that's hard fought peace of mind right there.
Yeah.
Then you can almost do anything.
It is. You start to realize just because people are older, they're not smarter necessarily.
Oh my God. That was one of the biggest realizations I had at one point. I used to look up to everybody, respect your elders type thing. And then I started to realize that, oh my God, some of these people are like more of a kid than I am, or they have the same insecurities. I think we're all just kids trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I remembered CBD oil. I don't know why I blanked on that. You've heard of CBD oil, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Doesn't matter at all, but I just had to get it off of my brain. So going along with all these, is there like a biggest failure or a failure that you've had in your art career? You can pick whatever iteration of art career you want, of something, a big failure that hurt really badly at the time, but something that you actually learned from. And if you need a little bit of time, you can take it. We can edit all the silence out, Debbie.
I don't think that there's like one big thing that's happened. I mean, it was very frustrating when I was submitting a lot of scripts or submitting a lot of, stories to magazines and things like that. I would, get kind of furious every time I got a rejection notice in the mail,
Yeah.
And that kind of makes you feel like, you're failing in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But I would just, it passed, those things passed. I mean, you have to that's a good thing about human beings, right? We're resilient.
Yes.
It's like,
Thank God.
And I just haven't had the hope crushed out of me yet. I'm still expecting good things to happen,
Yes. I think that might be it. I think that might be the definition of artist, expecting good things to happen still, you know what I mean? Or one of them, because I think a lot of people do get that beaten out of them early on, and they just go, okay, well, I'm just going to do this, I guess. And us artists, we need to be resilient, and we're so good at,
we're stubborn.
We're stubborn. Yes. We're stubborn, and we're good at like kind of transmuting all those horrible feelings into something beautiful. Whatever beauty, whatever that is, whatever incarnation that is. Like, I think your work is beautiful, but whatever these people were hating on, you know what I mean? It can be that kind of beauty.
Well, and it sounds corny, but you have to believe in yourself, or no one else will. It's kind of basic.
That's so true. Yes. No, it feels good to hear you say that. Yeah, I completely agree. But these are things like a spiritual practice almost. It's not something that you like one day. It's just like, oh, I got it. It's something you kind of have to keep repeating to yourself because they come back. Like I know sometimes when I'm putting myself out there with a gallery or whatever, it's like, oh, really? Okay, I'm feeling this feeling again. Like, haven't I experienced this enough? But it's just a constant reminder. I do think you get better at it. But yeah, it's a process.
I
And
think also not to take things personally.
yeah,
Well, it's whether it be with, in your work or in your love life or anything, it's, there's a whole other dynamic that's going inside the other person or, what the gallery is looking for at that time. Or
for sure.
so you just have to kind of attribute some of it to that as frustrating as it is.
Well, and sometimes it's just busyness, right? Like somebody else is busy and you kind of inject some other meaning into it, like, oh, why aren't they answering me? Or like, they hate my work or blah, blah, blah. But really, they're just busy and they haven't had a chance to get back to you. Or doing these critique groups with Shockbox has been, I mean, not critique groups, but doing these juried shows has been interesting because it gives you the other perspective. I know I've talked about this on the podcast before, but it makes you realize how non-personal it actually is. Like they're not rejecting you because they hate your work. Sometimes it was just too many good things, or you just, if the aesthetic had been a little bit different, it would have gotten in and they still love your work. So yeah, don't take it personally.
Yeah. I mean, I think that relieves a lot of suffering, right?
Oh my God. It does for sure. Well, I feel like I cut you off there. Did you want to expand on that, or I have another question if you want me to roll with it?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So looking forward and positive, where do you see your art in the next 5 years, or what are your goals for the next 5 years with your art?
I've never been a good goal setter exactly.
That's okay.
I just sort of fly by the seat of my pants.
Okay. Can I rephrase?
Yeah. Okay.
Where do you visualize your art? Like, where do you want to see your art? Just in the future. It doesn't even have to be 5 years.
Well, I would love to see my art in permanent collections and museums.
Yeah.
Well, I've been showing in some museums a little bit, and I would love for that to happen. I guess that would be a goal.
That will happen for sure. I know it. I mean, I can see it. That's the next stage. Your work's obviously good enough. And that's a nice segue into, you have a couple of shows that you're participating in currently or they're coming soon, right? Did you want to talk about a couple of those?
I do. I've got one show happening in San Diego. So there won't be receptions for these shows, and the galleries will be open, and monitoring. I guess a couple of people will go in at a time, if they want to do that. One is in Sparks Gallery, which is in San Diego, and that's going to be starting on August 9th. It'll be up for a couple months. And then I've got another show at Bowersock Gallery in Provincetown, and that starts August 7th.
Provincetown, where's that?
In Massachusetts.
Oh, okay, nice.
And
it sounded East Coast-ish.
Yeah. And then I've got a solo show happening at the Museum of Art and History in Lancaster, and that's starting October 13th.
I saw that. That's awesome.
A couple months too. So
cool.
Amazingly, these things were kind of in place before and being planned before the pandemic started.
Fucked everything up.
It fucked up some things, but somehow these things are still. I did have a bunch of stuff canceled.
Yeah,
but things are managing to stay afloat, and we'll see if they end up doing virtual exhibits, or as of now they're planning on doing physical exhibits, and we'll just do the best we can. Right?
Talking about resilience, right?
Yeah,
we're making it happen somehow.
We're trying.
Yeah. Well, so I'm looking right here. So the Museum of Art and History at Lancaster, that's October 2nd through November 21st.
That's going to be, October 13th is the date I have. Do you have something different there?
Oh, yeah. On your website, maybe it changed. Yeah. It says October 2nd, but.
Fix my website. Okay. October 13th. Yeah.
October 13th. Okay, perfect. So not October 2nd, October 13th. And it's going through November, right?
It's going through, as of now, December 13th.
Oh, okay, perfect. So even push back a little bit. That's good. Yeah. Maybe it'll be a little bit more conducive to people actually coming in and seeing it in person. And if not, it'll be a hybrid, and people will be able to see it virtually or by appointment, right?
Right.
Okay, cool. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, you look like it's fun to see, to go over your bio and your exhibitions and stuff, because I'm seeing you doing more and more and more each year, which is really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been progressing. So as long as you're moving forward, it's good.
That's all. I completely agree. It's funny because I had a period where I did the opposite, where I was doing all these shows, and then I was like, you know what, fuck these shows. I'm gonna do my own thing and just focus online. So there was a period where I was like doing 2 or 3 exhibitions a year, but I'm starting to get more back into it and striking a balance, because really that's what we have to have, right? As artists, we got to have a little bit of a balance.
Yeah, I think that's the smart way to go, is just to try, not to shut any doors.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, cool. It's been so much fun talking to you. It's been fun just for me because we haven't talked in a while, and thanks for sharing everything. Was there anything that I left out that you wanted to talk about really quickly?
I don't think so. I think we did a good job today.
I think we should pat ourselves on the back. We did a good job. Well, so where can people find you online, Instagram, website, all that, wherever you want to share?
Yes,
I'll put it in the show notes too.
Okay, at Debbie Corbell is the easiest thing for them to do. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and I have a website, and on YouTube, PD Songwriting.
PD Songwriting, no hyphen. Right. And just so for people, because they can't see it, it's DEBBIEKORBEL. So at Debbie Corbell or DebbieCorbell.com. Right. And you got to check out her work. I've been a big fan for a long time, and I can't wait to see your new pieces.
Thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Well, we'll catch up in person one of these days soon, hopefully.
Okay. Sounds good.
Awesome. Thanks, Debbie. This has been the Living Artist Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here, and I'm grateful to be in your ears. Your art and creative life on this planet is meaningful, so thank you for sharing it with me. If you like this podcast, whatever platform you're listening to it on, please subscribe and share it with your friends. You can also leave me a positive review to show your support. This helps me to reach more people with the algorithmic magic and keep the show going strong. If you want to see more of what I do and check out the art that I create, you can visit my website at www.pmsartwork.com or follow me on social media everywhere at PMS Artwork. That's it for now. See you back here next time.